Some cry, some smile, some fight every day. We rise to the top, 'cause we know what it takes.
Kandice Henry. Kandice is a young lady I know from when we were young, from the party days. And she has now evolved and grown herself, and I'm so proud of her to see what she's doing in the real estate. And most of us, whether you're renting a place or you're buying a property, we're into real estate. So I called upon her to come out and just share a few tips, share her story as well, and motivate and inspire. So Miss Kandice, the stage is yours.
Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you, Maurice, for and everyone else who helped put this together. This is an amazing concept, an amazing event, and we definitely need to see more of these in the future. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Kandice Henry. I'm from Brampton, born and raised. I'm a real estate agent as per my career. I guess I could also consider myself a serial entrepreneur. I do have a couple other businesses that I have, and it's really funny actually because I can remember being young and thinking, I just want a stable job, a 9-to-5. I want to be independent but have good pay. And I went to school, went to York University, studied. I was going to be a lawyer, worked at a law firm, absolutely hated it. Funny enough, they were downsizing and I got let go. So I was like, okay, was I fired? What was going on? I didn't know what to do. So I got a package and I had some time. So I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? What do I love to do? And I went through this transition of just kind of trying to touch on a lot of different things that I might fall in love with because I didn't love what I had worked for so long. So it's interesting that a lot of people have been talking about, being an entrepreneur, working for yourself, retiring, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna make the money and live happily? And I actually kind of went through that transition and fell into marketing and consulting and media and entertainment. Again, still not at real estate, if you guys realize this. So I went through that whole transition, and at that point I realized I do want to be an entrepreneur. And I haven't worked a 9-to-5 in over 8 years now. So through doing that media and entertainment stuff, I worked with a company, broke off, did my own business. And then I was still at a place where I was like, okay, I'm kind of working for them, and I'm kind of working for myself, but what am I going to do that's going to take me to the next level? I had been in real estate. I've probably been in the real estate field for over 10 years, buying, selling, flipping, being a landlord. And I can remember the first house I sold in 4 days. And I saw what the man made, and I said, this man just made this off of my house in 4 days. This is what I'm going to do. So I got into real estate. Had no desire to do it. It just kind of made sense. So I've been in real estate for 6 years now, just as an agent. As I said, I was doing other stuff before. Through real estate, it's opened a lot of different doors for me. I've met a lot of great people. I collaborated with a partner of mine, and we got into a youth program. It's called the Life Foundation. Learning is for everyone. So, thank you. So what that does is we strive to deal with underprivileged children in the community and give them access to education. We all know education in any form, whether it's university, whether it's hands-on, whether it's trades. Education is what's going to allow these children to get to successful situations in life. So we have a lot of different programs. They're education-based incentive programs so that these children will want to learn. I know like a lot of times in the education system, the kids don't want to learn, they're not taught properly. So we're trying to find a creative way for them to want to get involved with having a more successful future. Oftentimes, unfortunately, within our community, we don't have a template of how to find success, which is why we're doing things like this, which is amazing. And at the Life Foundation, what we try and do is give these kids mentors, give them one-on-one help, give them plans to succeed in their futures. With the Life Foundation, we have 4 different programs. During the school year, we have a drop-in program which runs every second Friday. We were doing it out of Turner Fenton this year. It runs from 6 to 8. It's completely free for children in between the ages of 6 to 13. They can come out and do different things, whether we're doing crafts, whether we're painting, whether we're doing games, whether we have positive speakers come out and kind of show them role models that they can look up to. We also have launched a Black History program, which is very dear to my heart. It's called the Regenerating Our Roots program. So basically, basically it's to regenerate the roots of the Black community. It's open to all races. We actually prefer if other races come as well, because it's all about teaching the world about the positive aspects of the Black community. Like you mentioned, we're always seeing us being victims or victimizing people, and that's not what the Black community is about. That's just what they're showing us that we're about. So this program is for high school students. It's a 4-month program. If you guys do have any youth, please let me know. I'd love to connect that you guys think might be interested in these programs. And again, this program just touches on the positive aspects of the Black community, going all the way back to our Black kings and queens of Africa. So many times all we're taught is Black people being slaves, when in actuality we came from one of the highest lineages of royalty that the world knows, and actually the world was founded on a lot of these things, if not most. So that's in the school year programs. In the summer, we have a summer camp. It runs all of July and the first week of August. Again, every day we have a life skills lessons for these kids. So whether it's finances, whether it's to learn to dance if that's something they want to do, whether it's to learn to paint, we're trying to teach these kids how to, mingle, coexist, be positive with each other, but then also every day we want to let them know, okay, how are you going to be a better person? How are you going to learn to do this? How are you going to be successful? And then we also offer, it's kind of like a summer school program. So the incentive for that is some type of sport, and the kids can gain an extra credit while they're in summer school with us. So that's the Life Foundation. I also have a travel company, which is called Your One Window Seat. I feel like traveling is a huge teacher. You learn so much while traveling, and a lot of us, again, in our community, don't really get to learn a lot of different things and cultures in the world. So with real estate, again, I've now started getting into international real estate. So if anyone's looking, to retire, to buy an investment property, Airbnb, there's a lot of residual money in that. I'd love to talk to you. And then just in general, if you want to go on a vacation, if you have a honeymoon, if you need tips and travel advice and information, that's what our website is all about. Getting back to real estate, I guess I'm going to wrap up and kind of leave you guys with some tips. Again, as we've talked about within our community, unfortunately, we don't have that much financial education. A lot of people feel like buying a house is an unattainable goal, especially within our community. We're not taught how to, save money. We're not taught how to build our credit, which is imperative, and a lot of people aren't really educated on how to do that. So just some tips for a first-time home buyer. One of the most important things is your credit. When buying a house, you're gonna wanna look at having at least a 600 plus credit score. A lot of lenders won't touch that otherwise, and your interest rates are gonna be really through the roof, unfortunately, if it's less than that. How to get a good credit score. You're gonna wanna have more than one trade line. So you're gonna have to have at least 2 credit cards, whether it's $500, $5,000, whatever credit card you can get it. A credit card, line of credit, what have you. And use them a lot. Don't max them, don't not pay them, but use them for everything. The banks and lenders want to see a lot of activity if you're ever offered an increase. Sometimes they'll send you a letter or they'll give you a call, take it every single time. Again, don't max it, don't pay your bills, pay them on time, because a lot of people think, oh, my bill's $500, I'm gonna pay $700 next month and catch all up on it. Do not do that. That's a big no-no. They're not going to accept that, and it's going to take continuous hits to your credit. So again, make sure you have a lot of activity. Make sure you're paying on time. In terms of down payment, when you're buying a house, the standard is a 10% down payment. So if the average house in Brampton, 3 bedrooms, finished basement, something like a family home, we'll be looking at $500,000, say, for example. That's going to be $50,000 down payment, and that's just the down payment. You also need closing costs. So just something to keep in mind, as even the financial advisor was talking about earlier, when it comes to saving, keep these things in mind. Budget what you're doing. See how much you make versus how much you need to put aside for the goals that you have. And even with that being said, a lot of people think, I have to do this all by myself. Right now, the way the market is, it makes a lot of sense for people to just come together, group, put little investments aside. If there's 4 people, 2 of you have good credit, all of you are working, each of you have $10,000. That's a house right there. You put that house aside, you make that purchase, you don't even have to live in it. That's residual income that you're talking about. Again, these are the way to invest in real estate. You have that house. I know I've had clients that they were like, I want to buy a house, I have this money, I don't want to use it, but I can't afford to pay the mortgage, and I'm renting really cheap. continue renting. But at least you know at the back end you have an asset that's growing. You know that you have money that one day, that's generational wealth. Another thing that in our community we need to talk about and deal with. That's a little piece of asset that you can pass on to somebody, and your money is just growing there, and someone else is paying that for you, not you. What else? When it comes to purchasing a property, I would suggest that you guys get a mortgage pre-approval before even going to look. A lot of people think, oh, I want this beautiful house, I want 3 bedrooms, I want 2-car garage, not realizing what they're actually able to purchase. And there's nothing wrong with starting small. Everybody has to have a stepping stone. Again, like I said, you might not even live in that property, and in 3 years, you have an equity of $100,000 that you can pull, and that's your money. That's whoever's money is invested in that property. You know what I mean? Everybody has to start somewhere. There's nothing wrong with getting your foot in the door. Yeah, so having that mortgage pre-approval is going to allow you to know where you can buy, how much you can afford, and then you can go take a look at properties and know exactly what you're working with. A lot of people will go out and be like, oh, I fall in love with this house, and unfortunately you can't afford it. You know, it's kind of like a heartbreak. So it's just better to be as informed as possible when you're going about what you're doing. Another thing that's really important is to get a good agent. I am an agent, but there's lots of good agents, you know what I mean, out there. Just make sure that you find someone who is interested in your well-being, knows what you need, what your future plans are too, because a lot of people just want to have a house bought with them, and because they make that one-time money, not realizing you could be making this person mortgage poor. You could be putting them in a worse financial situation than they are, and they're trying to do something better for themselves. So make sure you find someone who's actually interested in you growing as a person and you doing better. I guess I'll wrap it up there. If anybody has any questions later, I have a bunch of cards. I'm gonna have to kind of take off around 3 because I have a client to go meet. But yeah, I'd love to connect with everybody at some point just so that we can see how we can get together and make things work.
Every day we rise to the top, 'cause we know what it takes. Through it all we survive, yet still hold the faith.